Hi there, Blair with Handmade, and it's Quilting and Answer Thursday. Every week I share a video tip to help us all be better quilters, and this week I'm talking about quilt batting scraps. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're supposed to stay at home. And a lot of the stores where we would find something like quilt batting might be closed. So what do you do if you're using this time to finish a ton of quilt tops that you now want to finish quilting while you're staying at home, but you only have scraps of batting and not one whole piece? So when I started quilting, I thought that if all you had were scraps of batting, then you couldn't finish your quilt. That's not true. So today I'm going to show you my favorite way to fit together lots of smaller pieces of batting to make one large piece to use in a quilt. So the main thing you want to keep in mind when you're joining two pieces of batting together to make one larger piece is that you want a smooth join. So in other words, you don't want two pieces of batting that lay over each other like this, because if you do that, then in your quilt somewhere where this joint is, you're going to feel a little bump, and you don't really want that to happen. In order to avoid that, here's what I do. My favorite product is this Marty Michelle fusible tape, and I use it to join two edges of batting together. I've seen people stitch batting together by machine, by hand. There's a lot of different ways that you could do it, and this to me is the most straightforward. These little batting strips, which is really just non-woven fusible interfacing. It's fusible on one side. It works great for this particular purpose. So I'm going to show you how I do it. So here I have a piece of batting. Now say I've laid out the batting for my quilt and I'm 7 inches short at the bottom or at the top, whatever, but I need like a 7-inch strip, or maybe a 7-inch strip at one end, and then like a 5-inch strip at one of the sides. Those types of situations are where I would use this method. On my work table here, pretend that I have my large piece of batting and then the piece of batting that I'm going to add to one side of it. So the goal is you want to get these two edges to butt up against each other, not overlap, and not leave a gap. And that's where this tape is really great. So the first thing I would do is lay them out flat and overlap the edges by 1 inch or so. So hopefully you can see right now they're overlapped. Then I'm going to take a pair of sharp scissors or a rotary cutter and cut into where they're overlapped. So I'm cutting through both layers. So I've got some little scraps left over here, but I have this new edge on both of these that can now butt up to each other. So then I'm going to take my batting to the ironing board. I'm going to pull this over here to iron on. It doesn't matter if this is not a super straight cut, but you could also, if you want to make sure it's nice and straight, you could also do the cut that I just made with the rotary cutter too. But the goal is just to get the edges to fit together like a puzzle piece. They don't have to be super straight. So now I'm going to take my fusible tape for batting, and once I fit these together as closely as I can without overlapping, trying to get rid of all those gaps, I'm going to lay a piece over the area I just joined together without disturbing it too much. And then you're going to iron it or press it just like you would any sort of fusible interfacing. I'm just making sure you're going to fuse it all the way across. And then I do it on the other side as well. Same thing. This gives you another chance to sort of butt those edges up together. And I lay this over that and I press. And that's basically it. So now I have two pieces that are joined together to make a larger piece. And from this, what you can do is take your ruler and your rotary cutter and just trim up the edges to be nice and straight. And if you needed to do that a few times to create a piece of batting large enough to go into your quilt, you're good to go. That's my favorite way to join pieces of scrap batting. Don't throw those scraps away. Use them, join them together, and you'll be super glad that you saved all those scraps. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you being here. You can find more tips, tools, patterns, and tutorials at my website, Wisecraft Handmade, and I will see you next week.